Hey Siri, play the best podcast on iTunes.
Okay, playing One Little Spark podcast.
Welcome to episode 65. This week on the show, Photopass Day is returning to the parks, a new free offering during this year's Epcot's International Food and Wine Festival, new cast member improvements at the Magic Kingdom, a new robot patent recently filed by Disney for use in the parks, new and updated holiday offerings in the parks and over at Disney Springs, and a Disco Yeti update. We're also joined by Jonathan Johnson from Diz Radio for our annual Summer Rumor Roundup. Stay tuned.
Let your imagination run wild. Jump into the dream port, head off with Figment, because this is the One Little Spark podcast.
Broadcasting from the Dreamport.
One Little Spark podcast.
Tomorrow's child, gathering gifts from our past. Tomorrow's child, shaping a world that will last. Holding the spark as we embark on a great journey together. We're learning to reach for hope and desire, building a world to inspire. Have you ever dreamed the dreams of the children? Just imagine the magic their minds can see. Horizons
Welcome to the show that brings you the latest Disney news, rumors, and opinions, immersive in-park audio, ride-throughs and happenings, and interviews, attraction histories, and fun top 10 lists. Your one stop for all things Disney. One Little Spark Podcast. And now your hosts, Rich and Joey.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Rich here, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Joey.
Hey, Rich.
How's it going, man? How's your week been?
It's been a great week. By the time this airs, I will have spent a week driving around the American Northwest on a little bit of
on an excursion.
It's kind of a bleisure trip. I'm visiting some clients, but also seeing some sights with the wife and kid. And then boarding a boat and taking a cruise to Alaska. So depending on when this airs, I'll either be
on an excursion
or I'll be on a boat.
True.
I'm on a boat.
Expedition. Well, that's cool. You better take a lot of pictures because that sounds more exciting than what I'll be doing this week, which is working.
Oh, sorry, man. Probably going to Disney World at some point.
Yeah, probably. Most likely. It's fine.
I was listening to our last episode, and you were talking about how bummed you were because you hadn't been to the Magic Kingdom since like February, and I was sitting there thinking, man, I haven't been since last March.
Listen, I'm allowed to have my first world problems. You know, I'm entitled.
Pass holder problems.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the Magic Kingdom in like 4 months.
I haven't had a Dole Whip in like a few days. Oh my god. Well, I actually finished 2 books this past week. Well, 3 books, but one was not that good. Actually, 4 books, now that I think about it. But so
this is starting out like a Monty Python routine.
Wait a minute. The 2 this week, though, was the first one was One Little Spark by Marty Sklar, which I actually loved that book. And it was narrated by Jeff Cummings.
Mm-hmm. So you got it on Audible.
Yeah, Audible, which you suggested, and it definitely is amazing because I listened to it at work. So that one was awesome. If you guys ever want to get into Imagineering or just see into the mind of someone just so creative and someone that related to Walt and took a lot of advice and is so positive, Marty Sklar definitely was one of those perfect mentors. There's so many things that he contributed to the Disney company and creativity over time. So that one was great. Have you read it?
I have not. Just went to Audible right now and added it to my playlist. But I want to mention that Audible is not a sponsor of the show yet. So if anybody listening from Audible hears this, give us a call.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, and he's right, we're not sponsored, but it's definitely a great service. And you get like the first few of them for free. And I think you could send some to friends for free and things like that. So I really love it so far. So great suggestion, Joey.
Yeah, hey, no problem, man.
The next one I read / listened to was From Dreamer to Dreamfinder by Ron Schneider. And I love that one as well. He actually narrates it himself.
Well, he is a narrator.
Right. There's actually a lot of stuff he did that I didn't know about. I don't want to give too much away in his book, but he actually was the narrator on the train at the Magic Kingdom whenever Mickey's Birthday Land came out.
Huh.
He was also in charge of creative when Universal Orlando started back in the late 80s, early 90s. Actually, early 90s. And he was in charge of basically the face... what do they call the Blues Brothers, Beetlejuice, and all that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, face characters.
He was in Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor for a few years. He also did some non-Disney stuff, like a pirate show, the Titanic Expedition here in Orlando. He did the Golden Horse Show out west at Disneyland. He worked at Magic Mountain. It's just so much that he's done over time. And of course, he played the Dreamfinder back at Epcot Center when the original Journey into Imagination opened. It's just such a good book, and he lived such a great life. I mean, he's still active on Facebook and a friend of mine, and I have his phone number. What are you gonna do?
Oh, I think we should invite him on the shows.
I know. I know. He actually he reached out whenever we were talking about the Magic Ear Theater, and so there's that.
That's
Good times. Aside from those books, I also was at the Magic Kingdom for the 4th of July, which was something that I did after we recorded last episode.
So you finally made it back.
You know what, though? I went for the last 4 years, and this was the best experience because here's what they did, Joey. Normally, they're like, all right, fireworks are over, and now you're screwed leaving the park. Because they usually kind of close shortly thereafter, and then you're like, all right, now it's time to leave with 70,000 other people.
Right. Oh, and we turned off the monorail, and we're going to shut down the ferry boat, so you just have to walk back to the TTC.
We have some buses. Yeah. There's a path to walk back.
Don't go right.
Oh, yeah, you'll end up either being eaten by an alligator or just go to a pointless sidewalk. Yes. So, the way that they did it this year was... First of all, they had like 1 million cast members. Like every gate was open, their turnstile.
Huh.
They handed out these brochure things that were talking about $2 snacks. And I'm like, $2 at the Magic Kingdom? I'm like, I don't even know what it is, but I want it. And turns out it was like pretzels, churros, like LeFou's brew, and all sorts of other stuff for only $2 from 9 p.m. till midnight or something. And they also had half-off meals at certain restaurants between certain hours. So aside from being like fully staffed and cheap snacks, it ended up being an amazing night. I met 2 friends that I've been friends with, but like finally met in person. So that was really cool. And the fireworks, of course, are always amazing. And it was definitely smooth. Usually it's a nightmare leaving that park.
Yeah, I've been there on a typical night during spring break, and it's challenging. So I can't imagine what 4th of July is like right after the fireworks. That's great that they finally got that figured out.
Yeah. So that was a good experience.
And let me ask you this before we move on to the next thing. Happily Ever After, when it premiered, versus 4th of July.
Normally it's a nightmare from 4th of July. Let me just put it to you this way. Leaving the park last year took 3 hours to get home, and I live 1 hour away. It was basically an hour to get from the castle to the monorail. I'm talking an hour to walk from the castle to where you get on the monorail to go back to the TTC. Then it was an hour from there to get to my car, and then it was an hour drive home. And then I had to work at 5 a.m. That was fun.
Typical day for you, though.
It was a nightmare after Happily Ever After's debut. But, you know, they're learning. It only took 46 and a half years, but it's fine. So something that's very sad, Joey. It's really sad.
Yeah?
We don't have any new iTunes reviews.
Ugh. I was hoping you weren't going to say that. But
I know. Well, I checked, and I'm like, it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Let me check and see if we have any iTunes reviews. Oh, we don't. Where's my razor blade?
Aww. There's got to be somebody out there who enjoys listening to the show that might go on there and give us a short 2-sentence, maybe, impression with some 5 stars.
Yeah. To be serious, though, if you guys have 1 minute out of your day that you can spare for our show, it does really help us out a lot. Just click the 5 stars and then write a little blurb about what you love about the show, because it does help us. It pushes the show up the charts. It gets our show exposed, and we have a lot of things coming down the pike, which are very exciting. And if you guys love it, just let your friends know, let your family know, share the show on social media. But but get on iTunes. I know you're like, I will. But no, just like pause this and go on the app that you're using to listen to it, and then just write a little review.
Well, what if the app they're listening to it on is not iTunes?
Here's the fun part about that. Other non-iTunes programs also have a rating system.
Oh, interesting.
So iTunes is important,
so like
but the other ones
little
still
thumb up, thumb down thing, like YouTube or...
It's like a sad face or a happy face. Like, this show was good. Smile.
I like it. And you know what? If you don't want to give us a review, you could at least shoot us a note. Just say, hey, Let us know you're out there.
Yeah, it is really appreciated. I get messages like on Instagram and in Twitter, and people are like just telling me how much they love the show, and it really does mean a lot.
Yeah, awesome.
The next thing I wanted to talk about was something that I'm excited for, Joey.
What are you excited about?
We are having our longtime friend Jonathan Johnson on the show. He's from Diz Radio and a plethora of other Facebook communities. He's very active in his life, and we're going to get to talk to him shortly. One other thing I wanted to talk about was that this week you mentioned that you're going to be on the road, and the day that we are recording is way earlier on, and where a lot of Disney news hasn't happened yet. So what we're going to be doing, so you guys aren't confused listening, is I'm going to be recording the news later on next week, right before the show's released, and Joey will not be a part of it since he'll be non-existent. He'll be on an excursion.
Yeah, sad face for not being on the news. Happy face for being on a cruise.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want to do? Talk about the new beignet with alcohol, or do you want to go having an excursion?
Well, I'm going to have Wi-Fi on the boat, so maybe if we get 5 iTunes reviews, maybe we can work out a deal where I can Skype you from the boat and we can actually do news. But wait, they won't hear this until it goes live. Never mind, scrap that. That's a terrible idea.
Disregard. All right, Joey, I'm excited to have Jonathan Johnson on the show, and we'll have him in a little bit. So let's get to something else first. Like Kelly from the Epic Disney Escape.
Hello everyone, this is Kelly from Epic Disney Escape, and today I'm going to be talking about the new Parkeology Challenge. So you probably heard in the past that the team of Epic Disney, me and my friend Christina, tried to do all 47 rides in Walt Disney World in December. That challenge was called WDW 47, and it was ran by Parkeology. To be able to do this challenge, it was kind of tricky. You had to pick a day where none of the rides were shut down for refurbishments, and there had to be enough hours in the park day to be able to do all of the rides. In the fall of 2017, Christina had messaged me saying that she thought there was a day in early December that we would be able to run this. So we signed up and we ran. We only got 46 rides in that day, not 47, which was kind of heartbreaking, but also very, very awesome since most people don't even do that well on a run. We had so much fun that day, and we both decided that we would want to try and run WDW 47 again. But with all of the refurbishments that have been happening, plus added rides in Toy Story Land, so now it would be WDW 49, plus me being in Seattle, it didn't really add up that I would be able to run. But Christina really wanted to try again, and so she searched the calendar, looked for hours, looked at refurbishments, and she found a day that the riverboat was supposed to come back up from refurbishment, and so she chose that day. Everybody got excited. More people chose that day. It became another big day to do the WDW challenge. Now, like I said, no rides could be under refurbishment to be able to do this challenge. And then they announced that they were extending the refurbishment for the riverboat. It broke everyone's heart. There were multiple people signed up for that day, and it just wasn't going to work out. People had spent thousands of dollars to be able to go there and compete. It just wasn't meant to be. On top of that, a couple weeks later, they announced that they were going to shut down and refurbish the carousel in Magic Kingdom. So it's one thing on top of another. Everybody was defeated. The people who were signed up for that day tried to make the situation better by just saying that they were going to either run the race without being able to win, or saying that they wanted to do a different challenge, but still people just really wanted to run this challenge. Well, a couple days ago, the guys that run Parkeology announced that no run would be considered an automatic fail anymore as long as you completed every single ride that was open during that run. And that meant that that day was back on schedule. Everybody was so happy to be able to do this. Since the rules have changed, and obviously the number of rides will switch depending on which rides are under refurbishment, Team Parkeology decided to change the name of the challenge to the Parkeology Challenge. Now when you're trying to follow the challenges, look for the hashtag Parkeology Challenge. The other thing that happened while they were trying to decide what to do now that they had shut down Riverboat and Carousel was that they decided to make these runs for charity. They are raising money for Give Kids the World, which houses children who are very, very sick and maybe wouldn't be able to go to Disney World unless they're able to stay there. They created this hashtag, Give Kids the Rides. If you go and follow that hashtag, you'll see people are raising money by doing these challenge runs. Either people are pledging a certain amount for however many rides are going to be happening, or they're just donating an amount because Give Kids the World is such a great cause. Now, I know you're wondering, when are people going to be running? Well, today, which is July 20th, people are actually running right now. And the next big run is July 25th. Lots and lots and lots of people are signed up for Wednesday, July 25th. So keep an eye out on Twitter. Our Twitter name is epic_Disney. So go follow us, follow along. You can look back at what happened today on the 20th, since Christina is running right now, and you can see how much fun it is to do one of these runs. If you're looking for more epic experiences or epic magic, check out Epic Disney Escape on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for listening.
If you love all things Disney, then you're a D-head. And if you're a D-head, this is the show for you. Each and every week, Disney Blue presents Disney on Demand, your free, dedicated Disney podcast hosted by Jonathan Johnson. Every week, Disney Blue relives all the Disney magic, movies, and memories. Every week, you'll hear our celebrity guests who make the magic, your favorite Disney actors, writers, directors, and characters. The best of classic Disney and breaking news on Disney's latest films, television shows, and theme parks. So put on your ears and give it a little bibbidi-bobbidi-boo. Disney Blues Disney on Demand is on the air, and it's free. Just go to Dizradio.com. That's D-I-Z radio.com. See you real soon.
And now, the latest news.
Extra, extra!
This week in the news, I'm flying solo. Yeah, so anyway, August 19th is Disney Pass Holder Day. This was a very crowded and popular event that they held last year and proved to be successful with fans, so they're bringing it back, obviously. It's a moneymaker. I wasn't able to get there last year because I refused to, because seriously, it was like 100 degrees, crowds were crazy, and I said nope. This year, as of now, I have the day off. Maybe. Who knows? So I may head out there to cover the event. Maybe tie in a little small meetup the night before, so who knows? If you're unfamiliar with Photopass, it's a service that Disney provides that captures photos in the meet and greets and some of the attractions as well, like videos for some of the rides like Seven Dwarfs, Tower of Terror, and things like that. They also have what's called magic shots. So last year we did what's called a magic shot challenge, where we went to every single park and got every single magic shot available, and it was so much fun. We met so many great friends, and it was a blast. So make sure you guys head out to the events whenever we set them up. We'll be talking about one coming up here soon. The details on this event will be coming out, as far as the Photopass one, as soon as we get those details. We will cover them on the show and on Facebook as well. So mark your calendar for August 19th. Celebrating its 23rd year, the 2018 Epcot International Food and Wine Festival will be held from August 30th until November 12th of this year, and I can't wait. They have a list of performers and food options available online, so I won't go through all that stuff, or the show would be like 6 hours long. So I know I'm as excited as ever to be going to this festival. It's one of my favorites, along with the art festival. Pretty much love all the festivals. They're also talking about doing a summer one, which I don't know. But anyway, Something new this year for the festival, guests will be able to take part in a complimentary class at the Sunshine Seasons in the Land Pavilion, where they can make candy sushi. According to cast members at the Land Pavilion, candy sushi, sponsored by Skittles, will take place twice a day, allowing guests of all ages to learn how to roll delectable sushi snacks. The class will be free, but apparently will offer reservations by phone and online for the 2 daily offerings. I'm sure those will be booked really fast. The candy sushi class will be available every single day of the festival. All of you Magic Kingdom cast members listening to the show, and I know there's a lot of you, will be excited to learn, if you didn't already know, that you guys will have a new parking lot including 595 new spaces and have sheltered stops for the buses heading over to West Clock. These plans were brought to life when the Main Street Theater plans came about, since the parking in that area would be taken away. Well, with the new plans for the theater being canceled, these plans for the new parking lot were not canceled, so that's good. The new parking lot will be located just northeast of the access road nearest to New Fantasyland Storybook Circus, if you guys can kind of picture that on the map, or northeast of where the Tron attraction will be located across the road, though. So that's nice. Something I like talking about and exploring is all of Disney's latest patents, when I find them, and whether they come to life or not, or shelved, or used in something greater or bigger. They're always fun to talk about. So recently, a patent application from Disney Enterprises Incorporated has been published, which centers on groups of robots interacting in Disney theme parks, titled Systems, Methods, and Apparatuses for Stereoscopic Imaging. The patent is focused on visual communication between multiple robots deployed at the same time. The application describes robots may be used for entertainment, utilitarian, and/or other purposes. That's very vague and broad. A plurality of robots may be deployed in an environment and programmed to carry out one or more tasks. A plurality of robots is such a scenario may be referred to as a robot swarm, which, okay, they're like, we're armed and dangerous. Take shelter now. It's often desired for the robots within the swarm to be aware of each other, like, Cyberdyne, good times. Individual ones of the robots and/or a central processing unit may carry out localization processes, including determining relative locations, speed, direction of movement, and/or information about individual robots. Accordingly, one aspect of the disclosure relates to the system or omnidirectional stereo camera imaging for onboard localization of an omnidirectional stereo camera apparatus. So it'll be watching. In some implementations, the omnidirectional stereo camera apparatus may be incorporated into movable robot platforms or other types of platforms. So it seems pretty broad in what they can do with this thing. By way of non-limiting example, a movable robot platform may comprise a robot used in an amusement park and/or other types of robots. Robots can be made aware of each other's position and actions in a number of ways, but this document focuses on optical locations. The technology described is essentially a pair of cameras facing each other behind or inside convex mirrors, each recording the images reflected in front of them. These images, synchronized together, give the robots a better understanding of where its fellows are in relation to it. The most important information park enthusiasts can take away from this application is that Disney is working toward the successful operation of multiple robots in the same areas of the parks. And with the upcoming Star Wars Galaxy's Edge based around such droid-abundant intellectual property, it's highly possible that we could see this system implemented there. As always, a patent application doesn't guarantee the approval of the patent, and an approved patent doesn't guarantee the technology's use. So it's always cool to see these, like we were talking about the vest, and with the Spider-Man thing that we talked about last year, and Captain America's shield, and this and that. It's always cool to see these, and we always wonder like where they're going with them. So who knows? I'm excited for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Not the crowds, but the land. Recently, Disney Parks Blogs put out a blog with a big holiday announcement. Yes, we all know that Halloween is in August nowadays, and Christmas is right after Halloween and goes through January. So, details have come out about the offerings this year. Let's start with everyone's favorite park, Hollywood Studios. A flurry of fun comes back to Disney's Hollywood Studios with the return of Sunset Season's Greetings. Featuring impressive new laser effects and quote-unquote snow, it's just soap. Holiday Magic transforms the famous Hollywood Tower Hotel with spectacular projections of the beloved Disney characters such as Mickey, Minnie, and Olaf sharing their favorite seasonal stories. Another returning favorite, I don't know about favorite, but it's from Disney Parks blog. Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam, the new Toy Story land that will also have a seasonal fun overlay with holiday songs on the Ass Ride, the alien swirling saucers, which I rode recently. Not the funnest. I'd rather go on teacups. Over at the Magic Kingdom, they will transform the park into a world of holiday enchantment that includes the specially ticketed event Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, offered during select nights in November and December. At Epcot, you will discover joyous holiday traditions of 11 World Showcase nations during Epcot's International Festival of the Holidays, which begins November 18th. They're also bringing back, as usual, the Candlelight Processional, which begins on November 22nd. And there's also a list of performers, which I'm not going to go through on the show, but a lot of favorites returning and some new ones as well. New this year at Disney's Animal Kingdom, the magic of nature will receive a holiday touch with the inclusion of Diwali, the holiday festival of lights in India, as part of the new live show Up, A Great Bird Adventure. There's even more holiday fun at the resorts across Walt Disney World with festive seasonal decor as well as life-sized edible creations. And at Disney Springs, you will find the perfect destination for holiday shopping, dining, and entertainment, with the chance to explore all of the holiday magic along the way. They're going to probably bring back the tree trail, probably no drones, probably a lot of entertainment, and probably a lot of crowds. Good times. Last in the news, recently a Disney fan on Twitter brought up the quote from Joe Rohde from D23 stating that he plans to fix the Yeti in the Expedition Everest attraction over at Animal Kingdom. Joe Rohde confirmed that he is still working on the plan to fix the broken massive audio animatronic that's been broken for years. The Yeti, the largest and one of the most complex audio animatronics ever built by Walt Disney Imagineering, has been experiencing problems since the attraction opened in 2006. A few months after the ride's opening, the frame for the Yeti figure split due to the extreme stress of the figure's movement, which could have led to the ride threatening malfunctions if it resumed normal operation, like probably derailing the coaster. If fully operational, it's called A mode. The Yeti was once able to swipe at riders aboard the Anandapur Tea Company trains as they speed by. According to the Orlando Sentinel, the last known occurrence of the Yeti in A mode was back in March 2009. Ever since then, we've been stuck with what's called the Disco Yeti or B mode Yeti, where the fearsome creature stands stationary alongside strobe lights to simulate movement. So who knows when that'll be fixed. It's kind of exciting that Joe Rohde's still at it because, you know, it's good that they're not just leaving this massive thing broken for, well, I would say over a decade, but it has been. So there you go. But that's cool that they're at least going to kind of give it some TLC to get it back to where it should be. So that's good. So that's it with the news. Let's get to the rest of the show.
Oh, hello there.
Do you want to connect with our show?
Find us online at onelittlesparkpodcast.com.
Hello.
And on social media by searching for One Little Spark Podcast.
This week's lesson in theme park etiquette. Whilst enjoying your day in a Disney park, and you are venturing from land to land, or browsing the scenery, or people watching, or anything whilst walking down a path, and you suddenly become distracted and feel the urge to stop what you're doing in an instant, please take the time to do whatever it is off to the side of the pathway, instead of brake-checking other guests. The following are some examples. Oh my goodness, we are about to miss our fast pass for Peter Pan. I must stop at this instant regardless of whether someone is behind me or not, because I am more important. Or, pardon me while I stop in an instant to check my foreign language park map to get a grasp on my bearing. No, this is incorrect behavior. Please veer off to the side and continue your map perusing or merge properly out of the traffic flow and well out of the way. Thank you, and good day.
This week on the show, Jonathan Johnson from Diz Radio joins us to talk about everything he has going on over there in his world, as well as joining us for something that I feel we need to make a tradition at the parks and talk about each summer or so, Joey, about all things currently notable for rumors at Walt Disney World in something that I like to call the Summer Rumor Roundup.
I like it.
There are plenty of things happening in the parks, and we'll get to them. But first, I'd like to say hi to Jonathan Johnson and welcome him to the show. How's it going?
Doing great. Glad to be here. Always fun. Rumors are always top of the line. And of course, you can't go wrong with anything with one little spark, right? I need that inspiration tonight.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, before we get to all of the fun rumors, I started listening to your show years ago, and I absolutely love the format. And I'm not entirely sure when Joey began to listen, but I feel that it's pretty much unlike any typical Disney show. You know, like this one. I'm just kidding.
Cue the crickets.
But more of a feel like a complete radio production. And every time I hear something great, I borrow elements and use them to fit the show. And I have learned a ton from you over the years, as well as this past year and a half or so, having you as a friend. But a lot of people don't know that we chit-chat here and there behind the scenes pretty often, and you've given me such great advice and tips for the show, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We do want to get to that stuff, but first, I wanted to go back. So let's go back and talk about the first time that you discovered your love for Disney.
Oh gosh, I don't know. We could go back to, I guess, the first time I went to Disney, which I may not actually remember. I was 6 months old. So that was the first time I was at Disney with my picture with Mickey Mouse sitting in a stroller. And, you know, that was kind of an initial love. But the first time I really, really loved Disney, we were always a Disney house growing up. Doesn't make a difference. Watching the old classics, a lot of the live action ones, animation, you know, it was movie night. You know, my dad, he always worked third shift. So he would always plan one big summer vacation. And, you know, of course, coming from the Midwest, the first thing he did was plan a trip to Disney World. I mean, every year. That was like the trip. And he had to do it cheap because there was 5 of us kids. So we would go drive to Daytona Beach, spend the one day driving to the Magic Kingdom, because yes, there was only the Magic Kingdom there at the time, and hit up Disney. And I remember the biggest thing was probably when I was 9. You know, fast forwarding through all those fun years was I was 9 and I really discovered how animation works. And how drawing worked and how doing this as an animator. And I sat down that entire summer and just drew and studied the characters and just non-stop. I mean, it was just a non-stop obsession where I was like, I want to work for Disney now. This is what I want to do. And from that point on, it was just down a rabbit hole. It wasn't just the parks. It wasn't just the animated features. It was everything Disney, whether that was a movie on TV, a television special. You know, if there was a fireworks show, all right, great. I love the fireworks show. Now, who did the music? Why did they do the music? Who wrote the music? And how did they make it? It was everything. And I think that was kind of the jumpstart. And then when MGM Studios opened, it just fueled that fire even more. Because when that opened, I was in roughly about 8th grade at that time. And that was, I'm like, this is what I'm going to do for a living. So that's kind of that rundown initial love of Disney, where it was just a true passion no matter what, which was kind of funny for me because you're talking to a guy who, you know, in 8th grade, it was long hair, skateboarding, listen to heavy metal. And at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I like Disney. You got a problem with that?
Yeah, I actually saw a photo of you with the long hair on your Facebook. And I'm like, well, that's different.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I don't think most people realize that, yeah, you don't have to be just some Zach Morris-style Disney fan, you know? I mean, you know, I was, like I said, a heavy metal rocker kind of guy, but I never shied down from telling anybody my love of Disney. And I think in the end, I gained a lot truer friendships because a lot of friends were like, okay, well, it's okay to like this stuff. I don't just have to like it sitting in my house alone, not telling anybody.
No, it's funny because I have the opportunity to listen to music at work, like with a little Bluetooth speaker, and people will walk by and they're like, are you listening to the Epcot entrance music? I'm like, yes, I am. And they're just like, okay. And they're like, that's cool. And then I actually got a lot of people to start listening to the show at work, which is pretty cool. So transitioning into first deciding to do your show. So you were talking about the hows and the whys and being creative. What made you finally pull the trigger to get into that?
Going way back, I was doing online radio shows probably as far back as 99. And of course,
Wow.
I was going back into a different realm. Let's just say that. It's definitely like a yin and a yang. Think a lot of horror, a lot of scariness, a lot of Halloween. And that was the realm I was in. But I always loved Disney no matter what. It didn't make a difference. I shied away for a while because I was like, there are so many different Disney podcasts popping up at the time. And, I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I want something to be different. I want something that hasn't been done, something that is not going to be done cheaply, something that is going to be of quality, something where I want to sit down and I want to get lost like I'm watching a Wonderful World of Disney television episode. I want to get lost in all the nuances, and I want it to tug on your heartstrings with nostalgia and look to the future and open up new avenues, to new things where you're like, you would never give it the time of day, but after you're introduced to it, you realize, wow, I love that, or you have a respect for it. And I guess pulling that trigger, it was, probably about 8.5 years ago, I was sitting there and I mapped it all out what I wanted to do. Not going to lie, I sat down and listened to every podcast that was out there in the Disney realm. It took me about 3 months of listening to all of them over and over again to realize what I didn't want to do. Not because they were bad shows. I didn't want to copy something that already existed. I wanted something completely different. And that's what led me into, when do people first experience Disney? It's not at the parks. It's not in those places. And I love podcasts that do it, like yours. I love park stuff because I'm a huge Disney park fan. But people experience it when they're a child. I mean, they're born and somebody gets them a Mickey Mouse plush. Or they're growing up, and before you ever get to the park, or think of all the families that never get to the park, you know what? They love the Disney Channel. Those are their memories, watching these movies and these DComs and all this stuff. So I was like, let's delve into that realm. And within that, I can open up a new generation to the older actors and the behind-the-scenes people and people that created these classic things, because most people, I feel, never think of Disney older than 1989 unless it's Mary Poppins here or a Fox and the Hound there kind of thing. But there's so much more. And then I also looked at it as, well, with the younger generation, I can open up the older generation to all the cool, fun, young things that the new generation has to offer and how they pay homage to the old ones. And I guess that's what made me pull the trigger. And I probably spent about 3 months tweaking that first episode over and over again to get to the production quality that I wanted. And, it originally started where it was going to be a Blu-ray DVD kind of site. So that's where Disney Blue comes from. Most people are like, where does Disney Blue come from? Well, the Disney Blue, BLU, is because originally it was DisneyBlue.net, and it was going to be a show based around movies and television and the actors and the actresses, and be based around the latest Blu-ray and DVD releases and home videos. And over time, that totally transitioned to just Diz Radio, encompassing every single thing that is Disney. And here we are now, and I better stop because I will just ramble on. Because when I'm not playing the straight guy on our own show, I will just talk your ear off.
I love that. I was curious about Diz Blue, and I love how just one question you answered like 4 questions that I had. So that's amazing.
Well, that's one of the biggest questions I get is, where does Disney Blue come from? And I could just write it off, but I'm like, it's part of my history. It's always going to be there. So that's why I still toss it in there, because I'm like, it's just there for my own bit of nostalgia, because in the end, I'm creating a show for the listeners, but I'm also creating a show that I want to listen to. And to me, I don't ever want to lose sight of where I started or why I started it.
It's funny you say that, because Joey and I have talked about that so many times, that we're making the show that we want to hear, and we're big fans of our own show. So we listened to it, like Joey mentioned, he listened to it earlier today in the car ride before we were on the air, and I listened to it to and from work over the course of a few days. And no, your show definitely has that high quality. I know when I first heard it years ago, it'd be while I was playing video games, and I'm like, God, this is like an internet radio station almost, because you'll come in there, you'll talk about this and that, and then it'll sound like a commercial break. You'll play like a song and come back, and then there's like a clip from like recently you had the song from River Country. I'm like, I didn't even friggin' know there was a song for River Country, but you know, there it is. And then you'll have like a clip from the Disney Channel or something coming up, and I'm like, this is incredible, the amount of content he has on some hardware, or hard drive somewhere. But it's awesome because you think like I do, like had the hows and the whys and who made this and why. And I just recently got done reading some Disney books, and just hearing these Imagineers talk about the hows and whys, it's incredible. So that's cool. So I wanted to ask you, Jonathan, what did your family and friends think, though, whenever they first heard you were doing a Disney-related show, especially one that features a plethora of celebrities?
Well, I guess it depends on who you ask. If you ask my wife, she was pretty much saying, why do you want to start another project? Don't we have enough going on? And mind you, at that time, I only had one kid and like one on the way. You know, now I have an army of children, a gaggle of children. But at the time it was, why do you want to start something new? And then of course, a lot of other people were like, why do you want to switch to Disney? There is so many other Disney shows out there. Aren't you pigeonholing yourself to one niche? Isn't that just for kids? There's all those typical questions that I know all of us get bombarded with all the time. I mean, we've all been there. It's, you're just being a big kid, or you're just this, or you're just that. And, I guess that's the biggest thing. And my answer was, because I really love these things and I grew up with all this stuff. And it's not only just to bring it to a new generation or help you relive nostalgia, it's also helping me not forget my past. When I have people like Haley Mills on and I'm talking to her, for me, that's memories of growing up and watching the original Parent Trap with my parents. And that's also something that my kids can listen to me talking to them, and they see that original Parent Trap. And now it's an entirely different situation where they're growing up with the 98 remake. And I look at it as, all right, well, if I can interview somebody from the 98 remake, it's kind of like passing down that generation gap where they realize where the original came from, the one they grew up with, and they're going to have that bit of nostalgia. So to me, it's kind of not losing that original love of Disney, and also reliving those younger days of my youth as well, and hopefully that they don't get lost in everything that is now, but also not living solely in the past.
Man, that's nice.
Trying to get deep on you.
I know. I'm like, well, you should be my psychiatrist.
Tell me about your mother.
Oh God. Walt said something along the lines of, to really succeed, you really need a good hard failure. Tell us about some setbacks you may have experienced, or some roadblocks along the way, as well as some amazing things you never thought would happen while working on your show.
Oh, God. Well, there's always setbacks. Everything from your typical podcasting setbacks, which is losing entire shows, hard drives crashing, guests falling through, a lot of those kind of things. I would say one of the bigger setbacks I had is a while back. This was probably years ago now, but one of them, when I thought I was just about to pack it in and call it done, was dealing with two different agents who didn't see eye to eye with something, getting a star on the show, let's just say that. And the star really wanted to be part of our show, and the agent did not, and then just threatened a million different things about, well, I'm just going to get you shut down. This isn't right. People shouldn't be doing this. They don't need to be part of your show, that kind of thing.
Wow.
I will leave them as nameless, but let's just say the uprising of that was the star willed out and still came on the show because they wanted to.
Nice.
So that's one of the big setbacks. I mean, and I toggled with that, where I didn't put out a show for like 3 months because I was like, what do I do at this point? Do I just cash it in if I'm going to have to deal with this? Especially because the one thing I get asked a lot is, how do you get so many celebrities on your show? I'm not going to skirt around it. People ask me that all the time. All the time. I mean, seriously, a day doesn't go by that I probably don't get 5 or 6 instant messages saying, "Love your show. By the way, how can I get in touch with so and so?" It happens daily. The biggest thing is, one of the setbacks is, all right, for every guest I have on the show, let's just say I've probably contacted about 100 guests to get that one guest. It is a long, daunting process, and something that, in the end, the success is built up a lot of great trusts and friendships now within that community, where it isn't as hard anymore, things like that. But it took years and years of never giving up, putting it out, and making sure I still lived up to the exact quality that I wanted. I hope I'm answering your question. I'm kind of rambling on here, but
no. I noticed you're right. You do have a lot of the same celebrities come on every year, and the first time you'll give that, the generic, like, well, hopefully you come back, and then a lot of times you sit there and think like they're probably not going to, but then you go the next Halloween, for instance, and you have the same guest coming back, and you're like, he came back, that's awesome.
Well, definitely. Well, right. And you build up these friendships, with them and other people and agents and things like that. And, another success that I would say, because, you want to know failures and successes. One of the successes that I really, if I can get that out, successes, but one of them that I think is the best is, I'm at a lot of different conventions and events. I know a lot of Disney podcasts hit up like the D23s, things like that, and just the Disney circles. I've gone out there and branched off where I've set up, let's just say, a lot of booth spaces, a lot of things at a lot of different events, Comic-Cons, Wizard Worlds, things like that. So I attend probably 12 to 15 of these events all year long. And that's been the success because, I don't have to contact them anymore. A lot of times I'm being approached saying, would you like to come and cover this as press?
Nice.
Just today I got 3 emails asking if we'd like to fly out to San Diego for Comic-Con and interview a past guest, actually, because he'll be at Comic-Con, which was Adam MacArthur from Star vs. the Forces of Evil and a few other ones. He was on our show maybe about 6 months ago or so, but, you want to come out? Do you want to be part of the panel here at San Diego Comic-Con? So those are a lot of successes where I feel like, all right, I've done something right here. And even minor successes. I feel whenever I get emails from listeners, to me, that is probably the most rewarding. On our show, we call them D-heads, which if you're in an adult circle drinking, that's probably not the right phrase. But I don't, that's a whole nother thing of how that actually came about. And it's actually not Disney related how that came about. But anyways, fun story either way. Like I said, I will ramble your ears off.
Wait. You got to tell us now.
Well, D-heads goes all the way back to before Diz Radio existed. And I did other online radio shows and that. And as I mentioned, I love horror. I'm like yin and yang. I want to watch Mickey Mouse, but on the flip side, I'm going to go hang out with Robert Englund and Freddy Krueger.
You're like, I like Mickey, but I want to see him murdered.
Well, yeah, exactly. There's both sides. So a lot of times I would refer to listeners as Deadites. Of course, Army of Darkness reference. Bruce Campbell, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2. I'd always call everyone Deadites. You're right, and I could not stop saying the phrase, even recording Diz Radio. I'd be like, "All right, Disney fans, here we are. All right, all of you Deadites." Oh wait, I can't. So then I just started saying, if I just say D-heads, it'll curb it. And what happened is listeners started saying, "I'm a longtime D-head. I'm a longtime D," and I'm like, "Oh wow, well this actually stuck now." So I guess it is what it is.
That's awesome. They're your
audio. It sounds more catchy than One Little Sparkers. But
it's sort of your audio equivalent of Nicorette.
Well, for One Little Spark though, you got a perfect niche though for children's clothing, and you could say sparklers.
Oh God. Or fireworks.
Hey,
it's
Sparky.
Right. The other successes is just listener emails. To me, that's always the most fulfilling. The listener interaction, the questions that they send us for the show, that Aaron answers, things like that, as well as just people who openly admit, I never knew about this, or I never thought to watch these old movies, or where is that from? Because if that's Disney, what is it? Or sometimes they even question, why did you play this on the show? How in the heck is that related to Disney? Or And to me, those are the good things. Or even older D-heads on the show now who write in and they're like, I didn't want to give Disney Channel a shot, but Zombies was a really good movie, and I didn't think about watching it until you interviewed him on the show. So things like that. To me, those are definitely successes.
Well, you even had one recently about how Disney relates to the circus, and I really enjoyed that one because it was right after watching The Greatest Showman. So right whenever I heard that episode, I was like, this is a great episode, and I learned something new today. So that's a success too, when you're educating in a fun way.
Definitely. Well, and that's the thing I like to do is I like to call it the 6 degrees of Disney. You find ways that everything can be connected. I mean, when I first went to the team and said, we're going to have the very last ringmaster that has ever been around for Barnum and Bailey. And they're like, how are you going to tie that into Disney? And I said, don't ever question. I will make it happen. and we did. And look at how big of a role the circus played into Disney. I mean, like you said, you heard the episode, so much stuff, even down to the Epcot Celebrity Circus TV special that so many people forgot about.
Mm-hmm. So, Jonathan, your show has grown and become a staple amongst Disney podcasts, which is awesome. And I see that you're constantly on the go, like you mentioned, and know that if there's anyone that I can't complain to about not having enough time in the day, it's you. Your feed online is basically constantly packed with different things you're doing, which is really commendable because, you have a big family, big wholesome guy. You're doing all sorts of active things in the community and with things online. Definitely a family man, but you always have time to put quality work into your projects. Now, just earlier today, you shot me a message about a new logo that you created, which is so great because of how it looked as well as what the logo was for, which is definitely positive. And I'd like for you to talk about some other projects besides Diz Radio that you typically work on from day to day, and also some stuff like your Facebook communities, as well as sharing some of your future projects if you're willing to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different projects. Of course, I will keep them. I'll keep a lot of them Disney related, of course. But, one of them is Diz Ninjas, which is one that I know you're familiar with, which, for everybody listening in, there is a million different groups out there. And I commend all of you. I applaud. Here, I'll even give you a golf clap. That it was, I love all the Run Disney communities. It's great running the half marathons and doing all those things. I will be the first one to say, I will not do that. I am not going to go out there and run a half marathon, things like that, but I think it's awesome. But I also think, fitness, health, things like that is an important thing, and it's a great thing for the community. And not just being physically fit. I'm also talking about people who just want to lose weight, or people who do martial arts, or people who like riding bikes, or walking the dog, or just somebody who wants something happy for their mental health every day, saying, stop and smell the roses. So Diz Ninjas kind of encompasses all of that. It's something for everybody to be this positive community, not to belittle anybody, not to say, hey, look at me, look at everything I did, but to help people who really want to do something. If somebody's looking to lose weight, hey, we're there to push you. If you say you're not in the mood today, we're going to say, come on, man, let's do it. We'll be out there with you. Or you like cycling, share your love for it. Who cares? If you love riding your bike, tell us that you love riding your bike and what Disney songs do you listen to while you do it. Things like that. For me, I love martial arts. To me, martial arts is a big thing. I tie it back to Disney with great things like the television show Electric Dragon, when they had that on with Ernie Reyes Jr., Sidekicks, a few of other things, So there's a lot of fun things. But I really want to, this community is meant for everything, not just people who run the marathons, but it's everything for Disney and all the different aspects and things like that. I mean, you want to eat healthy? Great. Go out and find your Mickey apples at the store and share it just because it's fun. It's not a hardcore kind of group like that, but also mental health, just something to make you laugh and be positive in a drama-free community. And that's kind of where Diz Ninjas is. And of course, there's many other projects constantly. As you know, I am always busy, nonstop. I believe that a true Disney community helps each other. Mm-hmm. I don't want to come across as the negative person, but I feel many Disney communities are like, oh, we love everybody here, but don't do this, or this. We only want it to be us.
Yeah. Well, it's because they usually have an agenda, right? They're a travel agent or something.
Well, and not just that either. I think sometimes it's just everyone wants to be the person, which to me, being a good person outweighs being the person, which is how, like, even Rich and I started talking. He wanted help with podcasting. I openly shared a lot of things with him. We became friends over time. Or, the moving platform. He's just getting started, and, he's hitting bumps in the road, and he's like, I really want to push through with this. So I just created an all new logo for them. So things like that. I think that in order to move forward, you have to share what you know. It's kind of like Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid, or even Luke and Yoda. When Yoda's dying in Return of the Jedi, the first thing he says to Luke right there in Dagobah in Return of the Jedi is, pass on what you've learned. And to me, that's the thing. To be a true Disney community means to really be a community. Yeah. And I think that comes with everything, whether that's Diz Radio or Diz Ninjas or helping people out behind the scenes, all those things. And I'm a part of a lot of those different projects, including one that is getting launched very soon as well. But I don't know if I can say the name yet, but there is another Disney thing that is coming. And it's a combination of about 15 different people, and it's going to be one heck of a whopper, I'll say that much.
Oh,
nice.
Awesome.
We're excited to hear about that.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely be watching because we're all friends on Facebook, so I'm sure we'll see the announcement when that comes out.
When I'm not posting things that are snarky, though.
Hardly ever, yeah. Or something about Rankin Bass, or something about Lando Calrissian. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Rankin Bass is another big thing because I consider Rankin Bass right up there with my love of Disney. And, for listeners out there who aren't sure what Rankin Bass is, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Those are the three that everybody knows, but they always forget Mad Monster Party, Easter Bunny is Coming to Town, Here Comes Peter Cottontail, The Daydreamer, which actually had Haley Mills in it, Thundercats, Silverhawks,
that's right. Yeah.
The Hobbit cartoons, the Return of the King animated feature. I could go on and on with Rankin Bass.
Yeah, it's more than just claymation. It's also a traditional hand-drawn animation, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Rankin Bass is awesome. Especially, most people don't realize that that's also connected to Disney, because if you think about the 1976 special, the Frosty's Winter Wonderland, where Frosty gets married with Jack Frost, Paul Frees is the voice of Jack Frost, and the LP of that was released on Disneyland Records.
Wow. Nice.
So, but that is another fun thing that I'm involved with, and I'm currently actually designing a 300-page book with the official Rankin Bass historian right now about the making of the Santa Claus is Coming to Town and the Daydreamer, and that should be hitting shelves by September 1st.
Nice.
That's so funny. You know what? Since I've been a part of this community, people like Chris Shepard and even Rich, you guys are just so involved in so many things. You have your fingers in so many pots. I don't know how you keep it straight. I'm in the process of streamlining everything I'm doing over on my end, and it's been a blessing to be able to work with Rich because I can take so many things off my plate. I don't know how you do it, Jonathan, but my hat's off to you. It sounds like you're just going in so many different directions, and it's remarkable to watch and see all the things that you're doing.
I appreciate the compliment, too. I mean, I will say it is hard. But, if you want one thing that will really help you out, and anybody listening, it's not a big secret. Use a free app called Trello. It'll really organize you like crazy.
I use Trello. I'm a big fan of it. Yeah. And it's it's a great free service, and you can go from the computer to the app and back again, so you can get organized in the most efficient way you can. I had a question I wanted to ask you that I've been thinking of asking you for some time now. And I know that your show, as wonderful as it is, and I want people to go check it out, is very centric around Disney Channel, around the movies, around some of the more obscure things that people maybe haven't heard of. And so you kind of bring light to that. I'm curious what you think about the live actionification, if I could use that word, of all the classic Disney movies that they are now coming out with in the theaters, like Beauty and the Beast and the upcoming Lion King. What's your take on all that stuff? How do you feel about that?
All right. Well, that's a loaded question, too, especially with all the guests that we've had on our show over the years, too. Because we've had over, 230 guests on our show now. So I guess I look at it in two different ways. There is always going to be the side of me, like everyone else, that says why. Some of that I feel is because of my age, And I think I've reached that point where my parents were when I was a kid, when movies were coming out that were remakes of their favorites. And they're going, oh, God, why? I've literally become them. But I think in doing Diz Radio, I think that I've even opened up my own eyes over the years. And I don't always frown upon everything getting remade. Do I think some remakes shouldn't be touched? Yes. Do I think live action versions of the animated films shouldn't be done? Sometimes. But I'm looking at it as, even if Disney's doing it as a quick cash grab kind of thing, I'm looking at it as it is a way to keep these stories going on. Because as sad as it is, when parents don't pass down these classics to the kids, they don't enjoy watching them. Like my kids, they love them. I'm sure your kids do too, because you sit down and you watch Dumbo or you watch Beauty and the Beast, and they love them. Now, try going to a house or a family where they don't pass down the older things. And if it's older than 10 years, they're rarely watching it. So those kids don't grow up watching these, and they don't have that same love or appreciation for these great stories, the great animation. So with that, they have to come up with something that's still going to be wholesome, still going to be family friendly, and still appeal to a larger audience so then it can get everybody in who isn't just a Disney fan. And to me, I look at it as it's a way to keep the great storytelling going and still keeping it a family friendly feature and keeping it for a next generation, because there's a lot of people who hate the original Beauty and the Beast. If you move outside of the Disney circles, there's a lot that hate it, but they love the live action. Or you look at people who watch the original Jungle Book, they despise it. They will say it is slow, it's boring. Other than 2 songs, it's very long and drawn out. And then you watch the live action, it's really good. Things like that. And I also love how they tie it back to scouting with Aquila and the pack. But that's a whole nother story. But, so I look at it as it's a positive thing because it's keeping the stories going, much like the remakes that they did in the late 90s when they had That Darn Cat, Parent Trap, all of those, Shaggy Dog,
Herbie.
You name it. All of those were, okay, why are they doing it? But my kids, they've seen the original Herbies. They like them. They're enjoyable. They know the origins. But they still come back to Herbie Fully Loaded. Why? Because it was a chance to carry on that next generation. And if you want that character or that next generation to carry on, you got to figure out a way to make it work, which is, again, not to plug my show, but I think that's what I try to do too. Part of the old, part of the new, moving it forward for a new generation.
I love it.
Yeah. Jonathan, I just wanted to say thanks for joining us this week. It's so great that you could finally join us as a mentor and a friend. But are you guys ready to get to our main topic?
I guess, especially because out of all the shows I've been on, I think this is the first time all the questions weren't loaded about questions about past guests. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, well, the thing is to hear about that, you just go and listen to them. I mean, really, right. You ask such great questions in the interviews. You even did a follow-up, or not a follow-up, but it felt like a follow-up interview with Dan Cockrell, because you had him on timeline-wise after us, but you asked all of the questions that we didn't ask. So it was awesome. I was like, yes, we get to find out more, because we had a time crunch. We only had half an hour with him because he was in between meetings and things. So we had to really pick and choose which stuff we asked him, but you got to ask all the other stuff that we didn't get to, and it was awesome.
Are you going to get rid of the crane?
Yeah.
Are you done developing Frontierland? And why did you give up on Tron, but now you want to make the coaster?
There's a lot that I wish he could have spoke about, but we knew that he wouldn't answer at that time. Right. He was still employed. Yeah. So maybe we'll have him back on later, be like, listen, you're not even employed. Who cares? Spill the beans. And just get him to tell us everything.
With that, I would love to get Eisner on one of these days. And I've been in those talks for a long time. And something always pushes it back. As much as people love to hate Eisner, I look at it as the Disney you love that everyone likes to complain about when they're making changes was all made because of Eisner. Yeah. And I hate to say that, but it is. Anything after Epcot, he created with everybody. I mean, you love your resorts? Oh, yeah, thank that guy that you're saying you hate now. Or you love Lion King and that Renaissance era? Well, thank the guy that you say you hate now. And you love Hollywood Studios, same thing. It's... Yeah, he was a genius. Towards the end, did he tap out? Yes, but how many people can stay on top for as long as he did?
That's true.
Yeah, that's a whole a whole other show, because you're right. There's a lot of stuff that he did that was very positive. Animal Kingdom, he was there for that, and you're right. All of Hollywood Studios is literally because of him.
Unfortunately, none of that exists today.
Yeah, they've already bleached that.
But Star Tours,
books.
working with Lucas, the Indiana Jones adventure out in California, which led to other, the Indiana Jones show at the Hollywood Studios. A lot of things like that were definitely because of his relationships in Hollywood.
We'll speak on the longevity of that attraction here shortly, Joey.
Right. Well, and the one thing I love too is I love that he was a face for the company every single week on the show.
Yeah.
Which to me, okay, you're never going to replace Walt, but it made the company not seem like a company. Whereas now Walt Disney is like just bleached from everything now. Now it just says Disney Presents or Disney before the movie. No more Walt Disney Pictures. No more Walt Disney Presents. It's a company now, and that's when you talk to people, that's what they say. Oh yeah, that company that buys everything. At least, even though they were doing that back then, because every company needs to, he still gave it that 20% of personalization to it. So you still felt like, okay, they are talking to me.
So that's a whole
other thing. I'll let you get back to your stuff so I don't ruin off your timeline
have to
here.
make a whole episode on Michael Eisner. So.
I'm forgetting we're not on my show where I will just, if it's a 4-hour show, it's a 4-hour show.
Hey, content's content. But, something that I've really wanted to get to is all of the rumors, because people will message me like, hey, I know you're a podcaster, but what's going on with this? Or I'll be in the parks and people will see my logo, cast members, and they're like, oh my God, you're really here. They'll recognize me. And they're like, what's going on with this thing over here? Because I work here and I don't even know.
Yeah.
So the thing I wanted to do is something that we had a lot of fun doing. It had a lot of downloads last year, and I know a lot of people are going to look forward to this episode, which is talking about all of the current rumors on property. So what we're going to do is start with the Magic Kingdom.
Now, Jonathan, neither of us have... Rich is the only one who has the list, so we just get to give our genuine response to whatever it is he says.
All right, and feel free to have a gong, too, to shut me up.
I used to fully show prep Joey, and now I'm like, you get nothing. We're just running with it. So what I'm going to do is run through the rumors and kind of tell you the current hearsay behind the scenes. And this is, it's all rumors. It could be totally not true, but a lot of where I get these rumors from are sourced from insiders. But, with that, it could be something that's true now, but could be canceled on a dime. Think about the theater that we even got artwork for, and the location and where it's going to be, and some potential shows that could go in, and then they canceled it for other stuff. But we'll talk about that here in a second. So starting with the Magic Kingdom, if you guys were ever wondering about a nighttime parade coming back to the park, there will definitely be a new nighttime parade before or during around the time for the 50th anniversary in 2021, and this will receive a big budget, something along the lines of the Paint the Night technology plus new stuff. So what do you guys think about a new parade coming back?
Light magic, now at the Magic Kingdom.
People knock Light Magic, but, I thought Light Magic, the soundtrack was good, and I love the little nod of Baroque Hoedown in there. But for me, I'm excited for a nighttime parade. To me, the park is not a true park, and you don't close out your day without seeing the nighttime parade. To me, it is that kiss goodnight. It is better than just projections on a castle. It is something that is physical, it's there, it's magical, and you hum the tune when you leave. To me, it's important and needed, and I'm hoping that it's something more than just saying, it's new technology, we're just going to project more.
Mm-hmm.
Hear, hear.
Speaking of the end of the night, a lot of people are like in love with Happily Ever After. I know I was there for the first night. It was amazing. I got to interview a cast member who actually works on the show. He loves it. Now, there's also some behind-the-scenes rumblings of a replacement. But, and you're like, what? We just got the show last year. Most likely, since the way it works is it's kind of set up like a bunch of scenes that are shoved together, kind of like the Celebrate the Magic that used to be there pre-show as well as Once Upon a Time. But instead of replacing it fully, since it's so popular, they might just kind of update a few of the scenes in between and not have a brand new show. So that is scheduled for May 21st all the way until the end of of 2022. So that's kind of a broad range of time, but that's something that's, some rumblings.
I think that they're going to treat it a lot of like they did with the Disneyland fireworks show, where you had the standard fireworks show, and then when it was time for the anniversary, they retweaked it and had the 50th anniversary edition, where it was a different take of the exact same show, paying homage to the anniversary. I think that's what's going to happen. I think it'll be happily ever after, but it'll be happily ever after the last 50 years kind of thing. Tweak the song a little bit, just like they did at Disneyland for that anniversary. You listen to both of them side by side. They made those changes, ended up having Julie Andrews narrate the beginning, things like that, just to tweak it. So to me, I think it'll be a good thing. I don't think it's going to be a permanent change. I think it's a gear up for the 50th, and then it'll change back.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be kind of like the Star Wars Galactic Spectacular, where when a new movie comes out, they can update it. So it's one of those things where I'm sure you're going to still see popular elements, but they might swap things out, like you were saying, Jonathan.
Definitely.
Something else that we talked about over time is the 50 new things for the 50th, and those could be anything from full ride additions like Tron up to this counts as something because we repainted the purple wall. Yeah.
They're blue now. It's new.
Cosmic Rays sporks.
So that might be a part of a marketing campaign starting in the next few years. So going around the park at Magic Kingdom, we're going to start with Adventureland and talk about the Tiki Room to begin with. A possible contender for some changes in the Tiki Room is something along the lines of leaving the exterior the same, but changing the inside. Some rumors that are still on the table, kind of, in the rumbling stages, is adding Moana to that show, because originally there was something, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, a roller coaster, but then that got completely nixed. So that's something that might change in the Tiki Room. The next is something that Joey and I spoke about last year, which is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's tweet, which he's like, "It's so great that we partner with Disney's brilliant Imagineers to help reimagineer and redesign the Jungle Cruise ride in all of the Disney theme parks around the world." And then Disney's like, no, that's not true. And now we've seen nothing. The movie's actually being filmed right now.
Jonathan, you're related to Dwayne Johnson, aren't you?
Yes. When I go down to Florida, I tan really well, and we look like brothers. I mean, we're about the same height, same nationality, everything. We're definitely related. Although I do have a real life brother named Wayne Johnson.
Is he Wayne the
Pebble?
Yeah, the Pebble.
We can call him Wayne the Disney Channel Johnson, because he works with somebody that was on a DCOM special.
Nice.
Wow. So they're also talking about making some changes to the Swiss Family Treehouse, but it doesn't have any specifics. That's
they better
fine.
not.
Right.
Yikes.
They better not. Changing it to Tarzan in Disneyland was the worst thing they ever did. They better not touch it, and instead figure out a way to forward on a great story to a new generation.
Well, they're going to make the Brooklyn Family Robinson, so you better get ready, because it's probably an option to swap that out if the movie ever does come out and become anything, of merit.
Right, and as much as I like Moana, to me, adding that to the Tiki Room is a bad choice, just because I feel it does fit, but I think throwing characters from movies into everything is a really cruddy way of actually immersing yourself in great new creative for a theme park.
Yeah, the only thing we ever heard about was we'll keep the original over at Disneyland with that original animatronic and just change the Disney World version of it. But we haven't heard anything. I don't really see that changing just because of what you're saying. They're like, no, just keep it the same.
Was that in Tokyo where they put Stitch in it?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Another thing is what I mentioned a little bit ago, which is the Fire Mountain rumor. A volcano for Adventureland was once on the drawing board a long time ago. The rumor was supposedly back on the table as a possibility, and that was from Jim Hill, which is a historian in the Disney community. But it's mentioned by like 5 insiders that it's definitely not happening, even though they have the land, which is kind of disappointing.
Well, they kind of have the land. I mean, where are they going to put it? On top of the camel spitting?
There's if you look at a top-down view, there is some land there on the south part. They'd have to maybe reroute the train again. But anyway, the theater on Main Street is canceled at the moment because they took the budget from that and supposedly beefed up a, quote, unknown other project in Magic Kingdom.
Monorail.
But I think we got confirmation from Bob Gurr that it's the monorails being replaced, finally.
You know, when you have people falling outdoors and they getting stuck all the time, I guess, 40 years, 50 years, you need a replacement.
Yeah.
When you're almost being hit by falling parts, then it's time to go. Moving to the back of the park to Fantasyland, Mickey's PhilharMagic is set to get a content update. No timeline for that. And nothing else major is coming to Fantasyland because they just kind of got some TLC a couple years ago.
They should bring back Mickey Mouse Review in place of Mickey's PhilharMagic. Just yank it out of Tokyo and bring it back home where it belongs.
Yeah. The Haunted Mansion restaurant rumor was only one source, and they weren't credible, so it's most likely not happening, which is kind of a disappointment. I think they, if done right, and they did it in the treatment like Be Our Guest, could be incredible, but I don't think so. Frontierland was supposed to get a major update for the 50th, but Tomorrowland ended up getting that budget instead, so all that Frontierland gets is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad will get treatments kind of like at the Disneyland Resort.
A churro cart.
A churro cart, yeah. But they're going to get those effects in 2020. Rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island are potentially on the chopping block. That's only from one source.
That's never going to happen.
Well, I see them taking away Tom Sawyer's Island. As much as I think it's fun, and my kids appreciate it, and I've shown them great classics from Disney about Tom Sawyer or Tom and Huck and the Adventures of Huck Finn and all those great Disney classics. There's not enough people nowadays that, introduce these great things to people. I've said it time and time again, and that's why. When people go, oh my God, why? Well, tell me the last time you really went and romped around there and introduced it to a new generation. Probably not.
I'll be honest.
Probably not anytime recent.
Probably 3 times in my life I've been there.
See, but it's fun. It's really fun if you take the time to go there. So now I expect you to take your daughter there next time, run around there.
Right. She's been.
Do it more often. Though. Just do it more often, and then one less churro cart, one less picture of a churro, and instead really play up where is this sign on Tom Sawyer's Island.
One less Instagram photo. Now, there's a lot of cool places to sit and get out of the heat there. Joey's talked about it on the show. There's a lot of good photography opportunities over there. I've been over there for that. That was one of the other 3 times I've been there. You're right. But that's a lot of real estate that could be making them money, and Disney likes money.
Not if Eisner was still there.
There's also rumors to replace the songs in the Country Bear Jamboree, but that's just like a weak rumor.
As long as they don't get rid of them. I wouldn't be opposed to them just bringing back the Vacation Hoedown again.
Yeah.
Or what about the Christmas overlay? That'd be nice.
We're both, yeah. They don't have that in California anymore.
Right, I was going to say, that's gone because that's all Winnie the Pooh. Although I do love my Camp Grizzly t-shirt.
Moving over to Tomorrowland, the land is pretty much getting a lot of TLC lately. We have a lot of paint jobs that's happened with the rocks.
New purple wall.
Yeah. That's exciting. But while the full plan hasn't been announced, this is definitely happening since it's already started with the paint jobs, the seasonal closure of Stitch, thank God, and the plans have not been finalized, but there's several contenders that are competing to replace Stitch eventually. We've already seen the Boulders and the Carousel Progress get a new paint job, so they're staying like that. And the paint job is a hint of what's to come, as well as the new Joffreys that we got this past year. And the rocks, I think, had lighting added to them, as well as Space Mountain, and of course the purple wall that we mentioned. Now, the Laugh Floor, Buzz Lightyear, Space Mountain, Astro Orbiter are not part of the refresh, except for recently Space Mountain's exit has been under construction, and literally no one knows anything of what they're doing. They rerouted the entire exit out the back, and you could get a kind of a good view of the Tron construction. But it's kind of weird because this is long-term pathways that they built out of wood decking and everything to leave the ride. That's kind of weird. We're like, well, geez, this must be bigger than we thought.
What is this wood you talk of? Is this a material from the future?
Yeah, I know it's plywood from.
They're
Lowe's.
taking it from They're taking it from Frontierland.
Yeah, we took the budget and your materials.
Close down Tom Sawyer's Island. Level those trees.
Yeah, it's a concrete playground now. That's pretty much it. We'll get a few little attraction touch-ups and Tron added, of course, which is going to be awesome.
I'm a Tron fan. Sorry.
Now, there was originally a rumor to replace Stitch's Great Escape with a ride after Wreck-It Ralph, but Disney saw what they were doing at Universal and said, we don't want to be like them, so they nixed it. It was supposed to be a racing-type 3D, supposedly something, projection ride. They said no.
Again, more projectors.
Starring Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying, how much technology can you have saying it's new technology with projectors?
Right. Some other IP is going in there by mid-2020, of course, Disney. Now, it will be a Stitch meet and greet until then, and we don't know if it'll go back to seasonal. It's kind of been just the meet and greet over the past 7 months now.
Just bring back Alien Encounter as a throwback for the 50th.
Yes.
The technology's there, just toss it back.
You just have to kind of change out a few aesthetic things, and that's it. So there might be a semi-permanent attraction instead of the meet and greet in time for the 50th, and an unknown replacement is due to open within the next 3 years. Well, 2 years, according to this rumor now. So don't know if that's true. I haven't read anything else.
As long as it's actual Tomorrowland based. Like I said, I don't want to just have something, again, with a character thrown in there and said, hey, look, it's the future.
So Tron is already underway. We have, I looked at it the other day. It's just basically all flattened dirt. But it's expected to be completed by 2021 in the summertime.
That's going to be an awesome ride, though.
Oh, yeah. I've seen the ride through overseas. It looks amazing. Can't wait.
Oh, I know. Maybe it'll spark the fire to bring Tron 3 back to screens then.
Yeah. They won't keep delaying and...
Yeah, we can only hope. They might wait another 22 years to bring it out, but maybe eventually it'll come out.
It's fine. Disney's like, see, you just waited 14 years for Incredibles 2, so you can wait.
It's like a 94-year-old Kevin Flynn. The dude abides.
Well, it's amazing what they can do with technology. He would just be, Flynn would just be young again. I mean, if you haven't...
like Leia.
Right, like Leia. Or if you haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp yet, let's just say Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer are looking pretty young in some scenes.
That's awesome.
The pathway, this is kind of minor, but the pathway from Tomorrowland to the circus area will be widened. Yay. Huh. The Speedway is getting an overhaul, possibly electric cars. Not going to be the Sugar Rush from Wreck-It Ralph rumor that we talked about last year, but possibly a Tron theme for the Speedway, which will be completed by 2021.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm okay with Tron.
Yeah. I mean, less lung cancer, the better, I think.
How about instead of four-wheeled vehicles, we get light cycles?
That'd be sweet. Imagine little kids riding those.
How about everyone just has hoverboards and we just hoverboard around?
Yeah, let's get to the real tomorrow. Instead of like this, like, let's drive these go-karts from the 1920s, see?
Here, have a cigar. Suck on this exhaust pipe.
Yeah, with your Tomorrowland driver's license that you can get at the kiosk.
Right. That was probably the single worst accent I ever did on the show. I apologize to everybody that just heard that.
Well, it's on the record, so now everyone can hear for the rest of time. As part of the Tron coaster and Speedway work, Tomorrowland Power and Light, the gift shop, will get some minor work done. Carousel Progress is getting a refurb, most likely updating the final scene and reskinning the audio animatronics.
I love how they keep updating the final scene when really we need to just... I mean, I love Carousel Progress, especially the Now is the Time edition. I love that one, which I'm sure you already know that. But, they need to just start at like 1940 now. And and have the final, because then we need to have the 80s in there or something like that, and then a new final scene. Instead, here's the 50s. Oh wait, and 2020. Like,
you're like 6 generations past the original.
Right,
generation.
we need to start at like the 40s and work our way up now, not this turn of the century anymore. As cool as it is, I mean, I love it.
It's going to be like a Spaceship Earth with like the cavemen, and all of a sudden they're creating the internet.
Look at that man painting on a wall with Animal dung. Oh, wait, look at, hey, we're talking to each other on TVs.
All right, the People Mover. This is something that I don't even know where they're going with this, but it says that scattered IP should be showing up. Other stuff. Insiders hint that there are several other significant changes coming, but won't say what so as to protect their sources. There's also 2 to 3 new rides rumored, but it doesn't say where,
2 to 3,
if they're
wow.
replacements or if they're additions. The general look will revert to the 1975 aesthetic. Originally, there was a rumor to rename Tomorrowland to Discoveryland. That will absolutely not happen. Okay, moving over to Epcot. Epcot is getting a major update that will have several phases that will run from 2017 last year till 2021 and beyond. And it says more likely from 2023 to 2024 because of, Disney budget cuts and things like that. Now, they are getting a $2 billion lump that they can work with. Let's see. There's a push to include more IPs, obviously. Epcot is likely to get a new name, but not much different. Probably going along with the all caps instead of the word Epcot. And maybe some sort of prefix like Disney Epcot or Epcot Center, which I think that they should go back with that.
I think they should bring Center back. But also, I can see why they're changing the name because that park is shifting into a direction, and I don't want to be the negative person here, but it's shifting into the direction like most of the parks where there isn't a real theme anymore. It's let's just have a little everything in all the parks, so you're just at a different place.
Yeah, which is something I just talked about with Hollywood Studios. It's just a mishmash of whatever and just shoved in. But that's a whole other conversation as well.
Yes, it is. I won't divert anymore. Sorry. Like I said, it's very rare I get to just ramble on somebody else's show instead of having to control the show.
The entrance in the central spine was once a phase 1 project to start in 2017, but now pushed back to 2022. Now, some expected changes are a new entrance plaza and look with the lack of turnstiles, removal of those god-awful legacy monoliths, removal of other quote-unquote key structures, and more landscaping and greenery like we used to have. Good times. I know there's also the rumor of the hotel that's going to be added, but that's not really...
It's not really a rumor. I think it's confirmed, isn't it?
Yeah. There's like already blueprints and stuff of the...
There were blueprints and drawings of Main Street Theater.
Yeah, that's true.
You're right. Okay, so let's go.
Touché, Monsieur Pussycat.
Until there is a brick on the ground, it's a rumor.
Well, until there's a concierge table in their, or desk, and they're giving you tickets to the Cirque du Soleil show, then...
Right, we don't want to be like those half-built hotels that are really far on the lot that are untalked about.
Right.
There's also going to be a new look to what's currently known as Innoventions, which is all going to be demoed.
Yeah, the new look is going to be garden.
Here's the Epcot Garden Center. Welcome. To go plant some plants. There's going to be a new performance space, a new fountain, and here's what's kind of good because this is a complete nightmare at the moment, but the security entrance, as part of an effort to move the security bubble out to include the monorail resort guests wind up going through security twice, which is annoying. There's a plan to fix that as part of the front of park rebuild project. So what happens, Joey, is if you go from the TTC and you get your bag checked and you go into the Magic Kingdom and on the monorail, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to go head over to Epcot now. You get off the monorail at the TTC, you cross over, and you take the monorail to Epcot. You have to go back through security again.
You go through security?
So it's just like...
I love how you explain that to me like I live on another planet. Tell me more about the security.
It's because you haven't been to Disney in like 83 years. Listen here, Joey. There's other people.
So wait, so if I'm staying at the Polynesian, then I'm gonna take the monorail to the TTC. But if I want to go to Epcot, I have to get off the monorail. Why don't they just make it so you can go between the stations? That's so annoying. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I know what you're talking about, and that's just tough.
Our three other listeners, they don't know.
I got a solution. Take the minivan to Epcot, go through security once. Problem solved.
Concept art is blue sky, and should it be taken for definite plans, Joey? So it's not really different than what's planned. So good times, good times. They might change the name of Future World to not be Future World anymore.
Aww.
You think? They pretty much scrapped that entire idea.
Yeah, they're like, it's IP World now.
That's right.
Hi, this is, Epcot, the place of all nations and other random things.
Epcot.
Yeah, and Disney IP.
And where we let people drink because we want them to forget about how we've lost our way.
That's how you get over your, losing horizons and all the other attractions is you cry into your beer from Germany.
Drink away your sorrows. So over at the Universe of Energy, a replacement for Ellen's Energy Adventure is being constructed at the moment, and that building is huge. It's like 10 stories. I have a couple photos I'll put on social media that I took the other day.
Rumors.
Fact. The story is based on Peter Quill, Star-Lord,
Never heard
having visited Epcot when he was a child. The current main building will be a fully themed queue and pre-show area. The ride building is being built behind it with a connecting corridor. The Universe of Energy building will be converted into multiple pre-shows, queues, and load and unload. It will be a launch roller coaster by Vekoma Train. Good amount of rows in the cars with a few launches, no inversions, and it'll be kind of like Tron and Crush's Coaster, but with a launch. And this is supposed to open in spring of 2021.
Crush's Coaster, it spins, kind of like Gringotts.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is this is going to be where you, see a couple things like Gringotts, and then you go and you have fun, and then it stops again for, a little scene. Yeah. I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah.
There's also a possibility of food and beverages associated with Guardians of the Galaxy in that area. The Imagination Pavilion. It just says something will happen, but it's 5 to 6 years away.
I don't know. Sorry, in my brain, I'm still kind of wondering how Peter Quill is going to have memories of him visiting Epcot because he was 8 when he got taken away. So he clearly remembers being there when he was 5.
Was he 8 or was he 10?
I believe he was 8.
I don't
know. Yeah.
Let's go look at that Photoshop picture of him at Epcot in front of Spaceship.
It'd be funny if he's a teenager. hanging out with Kurt Russell and the strongest man in the world.
I was to say Yondu is there taking him to Epcot. Listen here, boy.
This project is supposed to have a much less budget than the Guardians ride, obviously, and there's small talk, but it probably won't happen, of removing Figment from the attraction.
So wait a second. They're gonna do something to Journey of Imagination with less of a budget than they've already spent on it.
I don't know.
They're like, here's $14, make a new ride.
All right, and just to clarify, I did open up my Peter Quill Wikipedia here. He was born in 1980, late 1980 it says. Sometime before 1988, depending on when his mom got brain cancer, he had to have attended Epcot. So I want to ask any other grown person,
Maybe his grandfather took him.
Anybody that's 40 years old, I'm going to be like, so when you were 6, do you remember being at this park?
Tell me all the details so then we can make an attraction based off of your memories from when you were
The most he's going to do is bust out into song and sing Hooked on a Feeling, I think.
Oh, God. The new space-themed restaurant is already under construction in between the god-awful Mission Space attraction and Test Track.
Aw.
It's not that good, let's be honest.
It's not that bad, though, either.
Let's go on a spinny ride for 10 minutes.
Hey, man, Teacups is popular.
That's more fun.
And Teacups won't always make you throw up.
And it won't kill you like Mission Space has with guests.
That's true.
Well, Space Mountain did kill somebody back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, but it's been redone since then. It's fine.
Even the Skyways killed people. I mean, it's not like you have to try that hard.
You don't even have to ride a ride. I mean,
to be fair, the Carousel of Progress has killed someone.
This is very true. Why am I laughing about this?
Now everyone's going to think you're heartless.
I know, but it's true. I mean,
they're going to call you Hades or the Horned King.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So the entrance of this space-themed restaurant is supposed to be quote-unquote fabulous. I don't know what to take on that, but there's supposed to be a elevator similar to what they had over in the Living Seas with the hydrolators, whatever the hell.
Easy for you to say.
Yes. Large table service for close to 300 guests, a show, and other surprises. This will also have a 250-foot curved projection window along the south and southwestern interior wall. They will also have a 16-seat bar, 188-seat upper tier, and 188-seat lower tier. Also, the best part, Jonathan, is they're going to have some Disney IP showing up in this restaurant as well.
The best part.
Why is everybody peeing?
Yeah, I don't get it.
What is this IP? You got to remember, what if you have listeners who are listening now and they're like, why would I go to Disney and why are there so many restrooms?
For those who are unfamiliar, IP stands for intellectual properties.
See, you need to have like Peabody and Sherman, so you need to have somebody come in and clarify in a quick 10 seconds.
Moving over to the Land Pavilion, we will most likely see a Living with the Land refurbishment with slight changes. Circle of Life will eventually be replaced, thankfully, because that show was not fun.
You know, it'd be great is if they had all the characters in Circle of Life sort of fade out like the characters at the end of Avengers.
This is what happens when you don't recycle.
only all the stuff that's not popular anymore. Just be like, this was the Magic Kingdom. And just have everything just drop into ashes. This was MGM Studios.
Oh. This was Walt Disney.
Remember Mr. Toad? Well, no more.
Oh, he's already gone.
There's supposed to be a refresh to the dining in that whole Land Pavilion. The Seas had literally no details.
Nothing to do there. It's perfect.
Nah, they're like, it's fine. Leave this 17-year-old movie attraction here.
Hey, they updated it. Dory's
it's underwater.
Yeah.
It's timeless, right?
Yeah. Dory got added to Crush's show. Good times. Spaceship Earth lost the Siemens contract last year or earlier this year.
I'm just going to say, I know it's a family-friendly show, but who thought it's a good idea to make a big silver ball sponsored by Siemens?
The Germans. Literally. Spaceship Earth is scheduled to have a refurbishment in 2019. No details on that. Now, this is a far-off rumor, but, whatever. Spaceship Earth could see a new ride system, but way in the future, including a roller coaster, but that's most likely not going to happen.
Yeah.
That was originally rumored for the mid-2000s, actually.
A roller coaster. I could see a roller coaster. See the caveman. There we go. Now we're in the future. All right. It's over.
Here comes the big drop at the end. Oh, wait. It's turning around. Why?
See the blackness? The world just ended.
This part represents your death.
Like a grand and miraculous. And then the launch happens. The Club Cool will get a makeover. And
somebody's going to mop the floor.
Oh, it's so gross in there. I just went in there the other day. And it smells how the taste of Beverly tastes.
That's because people take a sip and they spit it out.
This is the worst thing. Yeah, that's what it is you're really sticking to the floor with all the Beverly spit.
You should just go in there next time with like napkins already stuck to the bottom of your shoes and see how many stay on the ground when you walk through.
That's gross. And it just smells so stale all the way through that Intervention's whole corridor there.
It's like going to a $1 movie theater for second-run films. That's what it smells like.
I don't know what these stains are, but I'll just ignore it.
Rich, you need to go to Starbucks the next time you're there with friends. Like, just be like, I'll be right back. I got to use the restroom. And then go by Starbucks and get a drink and then get an empty cup with a lid. And then go by Club Cool and fill it up with Beverly and see which one of them was like, hey, anybody thirsty? They gave me an extra coffee. And just, I don't know.
Gross. Recently at the Wonders of Life Pavilion, they redid the roof, or they're still working on it. Don't know anything about what's going in there. We had Bob Chapek and other park executives that were in the area, as well as looking at the Imagination Pavilion, probably in disgust, from my opinion. They're like, this was Epcot. Now it's a shadow. They don't know anything of what's going in there. There was a rumor for Doctor Strange, no longer talks of being demolished like they were a few months ago, and it's not likely to be repurposed anytime the remainder of this year. Good chance of an IP, intellectual property, being added to the Wonders of Life pavilion, and supposedly it's already greenlit. They just are far off from beginning.
Wakanda.
No. Not popular enough.
I hope not. Black Panther was a good movie. It wasn't great. It's kind of how I feel about Avatar. It's one of those films where the hype just built up from people who don't know better.
Joey's like, I will stab you.
I liked Avatar.
I like Avatar, The Last Airbender.
Oh, God. You're like comparing the two. I like the other one.
I'll take the blue people.
In the World Showcase, the Agent P game might be replaced by DuckTales.
No.
Apparently, it's still in the works.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Over in the France Pavilion, the Ratatouille ride, as it exists in Paris, is now under construction and will open in 2020, April through June-ish. Impressions de France, the placement of the Ratatouille ride will not necessitate any changes of Impressions de France or any of France's restaurants or shops. However, it doesn't mean a separate decision could affect them. So basically, if you do walk over there to that pavilion, you could see where they're clearly going to put the entrance. It's going to wrap around the back and then enter the show building there. They are going to update that film, Impressions de France, in 2020. At least it's like penciled in then. Here's some rumors that we've talked about over the past year and a half, which is the Brazilian Pavilion. That will be here in 2022.
Is it just going to be a country with a lot of flags?
It'll be with a lot of chanting people that haven't bathed in 2 weeks.
Aww.
And soccer.
And soccer, yeah.
Actually, I don't know. It says possibly a ride or attraction. That's it. So it says Brazil's paperwork is being finalized. Original artist concept of Brazil was first floated long ago. New renderings in the works. After Brazil, Spain is the next contender, but a long shot for a pavilion. Or maybe 3 pavilions by 2025, but plans are always iffy. And there's also talks of an India pavilion. So, good times. I think any new countries coming to the World Showcase is cool.
I mean, it's definitely due. It's been long enough. So, yeah, it would be great to see another pavilion. What gets me is how the most creative company on the planet hasn't figured out better ways to monetize this space to incentivize other countries, from wanting to
I don't know either.
To be there and to have a showcase of some kind.
Another rumor is Mary Poppins ride over in the UK pavilion. It's something along the lines of either a carousel or something else, but don't know.
They'll have Yondu make an appearance too. He'll hop on over from Future World. I see it as a marketing play. He'll walk through at some point from attraction
Mary
to
Poppins,
attraction.
y'all.
Oh, God. At least one more or maybe 2 new rides in the World Showcase. It doesn't say a time frame, but that's just rumored. Mexico has the Coco interior overlay, and recently they had this, I saw this the other day, where you touch your magic band to a giant flat screen, and you could create a character and have it emailed to you. Anyway, I think that's all they're doing because that was rumored to originally replace the Grand Fiesta Tour with 3 Caballeros, but that's not going to happen. Over in China, the 360-degree theater will go digital and seamless. The new film will be live action and projected from a new central rind in the ceiling. That's supposed to be done by the end of next year or the beginning of 2020. The American Adventure recently received a small refurbishment with new audio recordings and updated film montage, and there's also a rumor to add a summer festival to Epcot.
Again, because they need more drinking, because the park doesn't make sense anymore.
Well, they just need a reason to charge you $7 for
4 hash browns.
Yeah, something that's definitely not going to satisfy your hunger.
Okay, I don't want to come across like a negative. Awesome.
There you go.
Bring it on.
The Illuminations replacement was originally supposed to be pretty much out right now, but it got pushed back because of Happily Ever After, and that got priority. Hardware is currently being fabricated for the new show. Definitely won't happen this year, but most likely summer of this coming year, 2019, will have drones. The thing that they were also holding back on was basically figuring out how to get drones over people, since they're not allowed to get them to the World Showcase Lagoon. This may or may not have, Jonathan, Disney or movie intellectual properties.
See, now every time you say anything, you're not going to be able to say it's the TTC or IP or the or, you're going to have to actually say what it is.
You can expect this show to have a tad more lighthearted feel, still breathtaking but different. Because that's not vague. The new show will be called Illuminations Windows on the World, sponsored by Intel. So that April Fool's show we had was actually, that was a true rumor that we had.
Well, it's not the NRA, but...
Right.
Close enough.
Moving over to Disney's Hollywood Studios, or Kaleidoscope Park, whatever you want to call it.
Disney Cinemagic.
Cinemagine. God. Star Wars Land will open next fall, 2019. A third ride will not happen anytime soon, but it is planned for basically like the next decade.
So pretty much everyone's built up for Star Wars Land to really just walk around and buy stuff from the stores and wait for 2 rides, one of which already exists. Yes. I'm so there. It's Star Wars.
The Millennium Falcon ride will be a simulator ride. Riders can affect the course of their ship, fly cleanly, or bang around, as quoted from D23. Hondo Anaka will be a key character for the ride. 7 pods will seat 6 and rotate slowly on 4 carousels for loading and unloading. Screen outside of the pod, so you're going to be facing outwards. There's actually a lot of pictures and designs online where you can see what this looks like. The other one is a battle escape ride, code word being LPS Alcatraz.
Okay.
Will have elaborate cues, multiple pre-shows, unique effects, and be about 6 to 7 minutes long. This land might have, what you're talking about, walk around and buy stuff, Jonathan, a do-it-yourself make-a-droid shop for $100, which will probably be up because the Banshees were originally cheaper and now they're more, but whatever. A proposed Phase 2 for Star Wars Land is roughly a decade away. Toy Story Land will not have a Phase 2. They're just done with it.
Okay, am I the only one here too? I seriously, I don't want to come across as negative, but am I the only one who feels like Toy Story Land was kind of like tossing together Mickey's Birthday Land just to appease people who were getting disappointed in the park?
So
yes.
a lot of people heard my walkthrough of the land the other day on the last episode, and you can hear that I was unimpressed for the most part. It's as small as the Storybook Circus in Fantasyland.
Right, which used to be Mickey's Birthday Land. So it's like,
yeah.
Here we are. Look at, we had this makeover. Look at it. It's a giant bucket.
I think there's more rides in Storybook Circus than Toy Story Land, and more thrilling.
I think it was a throw together to appease people because we're losing ticket sales to certain parks.
Well, also, if you look at the original concept art, there's more stuff on that than in the actual land that ended up coming to fruition. So, like, okay, whatever. Anyhow, the Tower of Terror will not get a Guardians of the Galaxy overlay.
Yes.
Yet.
Not yet. Not till they're trying to get even more money. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, replacing the Great Movie Ride, is under construction now. This will use Mickey short animation and 2.5D effects on an LPS, which is trackless vehicle. Time frame is 2019, April through September, which is
what is 2.5D animation?
They're like, it's not quite 3 and it's not quite 2.
Yeah, that's literally the definition.
I read that. I'm just kidding.
Well, they put out kind of a test film.
It's hand drawn, but like one arm comes out at you.
Yeah.
You have half of your glasses on for the 3D effect.
Yeah, that just covers
You're wearing a monocle. You're wearing a monocle. Please grab your monocle before you ride.
Oh, this might have a soft opening August of next year. Projections will be on a physical set, not all flat screens, about 85% physical sets, no multiple tracks, but not exactly on the same route. There may even be animatronics, but not the high-end AAs like over in Pandora. Good times. There will be rectangular LPS vehicles, 4 for guests and a 5th for something else, likely the train engine with Goofy. Most likely a 5 to 6 minute long ride. There will be a separate pre-show room inside what used to be the pre-show theater. Will likely have a direct external entrance into Star Wars Land. Over to Star Tours.
For your non-educated listeners, what's a LPS system or a LPS?
It's the trackless vehicles similar to Ratatouille, and there's like a penguin ride at SeaWorld.
I just want to make sure we cover all those new listeners you have coming in, all the sparklers.
I don't know if I could ever get used to that.
The sparklers? Yeah, no, that's not gonna pan out, Jonathan. Good luck.
Just wait till I have like an adorable like 6-year-old spelling out one little spark with a sparkler, and then you're gonna be like, "Aw," with big puppy dog eyes.
Oh God. Okay, if you do that, then maybe we'll run with it.
I think LPS has something to do with the lighting projection, but it could have something to do with the track. I was just watching a ride through of the Winnie the Pooh ride. I want to say in
Honey Hunt?
in Hong Kong, and it's the Honey Hunt. Yeah, that looked pretty cool. Anyway, moving on.
Good times, good times.
Continue with the rumors, please.
The next one is Star Tours that will get scenes from Episode 9 in 2019 and still be around for a year or two after that. Star Tours will eventually be reconfigured to some other, you guessed it, intellectual property after Star Wars Land opens.
It's going to be Iron Man.
I bet, if they can, they probably would, since it's already there. Even though the park's already mishmashed, they might as well just continue with just doing that. Muppet Courtyard will go unchanged. Mama Melrose, the restaurant, we don't know. It might be Muppet themed later on. The Muppet Theater might be used in the future for previews, which is a bad decision in my opinion. But at the moment, Muppets are staying for a while. Echo Lake is safe. Drive-in and commissary are safe for changes.
It's good to know we might lose the Muppets, at some point. But hey, Echo Lake is awesome.
Yeah.
The dinosaur is safe.
At least I can see the dinosaur, but lose the Muppets.
Aw.
Well, we have to make light. Otherwise, it's just going to be, rumors that are making some of your listeners angry and some of them happy. So hopefully we can make some of them smile and some of them go, I wish that guy would shut up.
Fantasmic, there's an update constantly being talked about. No, I was just saying
Just take out Pocahontas scene and it would be perfect.
Or the bagging of the fish, where they cover up the
Little Mermaid, yeah. They need to put a spotlight on that. That's just funny stuff.
There was a potential replacement rumor for Fantasmic, but that's no longer on the table. And so they're kind of just going to leave it. They're also talking about a Fantasmic daytime show, but no.
Yeah. They need to hand that over to Disney Entertainment and have them come up with a whole new show. Because that's, 25 years old?
The Disneyland Fantasmic is way better, no matter what, hands down. Just because of the flow, the content, what it is. I mean...
The location.
Right. Well, once they started adding the whole, Pocahontas scene and all this stuff, it just changed the whole dynamic of it. It just flows off the whole rhythm of the story.
I know this is going back a little bit, but LPS stands for Local Positioning System. So it kind of...
I'm just going to call it LPS.
LPS. There you go. So Indiana Jones isn't going anywhere for now because, it is still kind of popular, even though that's the original script.
Yeah, and it's a people eater.
Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast were originally supposed to be short-term shows. They were originally going to be replaced with stuff like the Aladdin show over in Anaheim that got replaced with Frozen. Or like the Tangled show and the cruise ships. Both are due for some change, obviously. But changing them, which was definitely on the table, and one was supposed to happen this past year, is not happening anytime soon. The Theater of the Stars, where Beauty and the Beast plays, is also talked about a lot in the rumor mill for being demoed or updated to enclose it, which we talked about, I think, last year, Joey, right?
Yeah.
Little Mermaid could be replaced, but probably not this year or next year. Launch Bay is going to be changed in 2019 or even possibly sooner. Thank God. Disney Junior is not going anywhere, And it says the rumored Phase 3 is not going to be another land, but instead updates like the Mickey ride. However, there once was talk of 2 new areas in the planning stages, which are now off the table. No other big stuff for 5 or 6 years to Hollywood Studios. Is Monstropolis or Pixar Land coming to Hollywood Studios, Joey? No, they're not. So that rumor is killed. The one that we've been talking about for about a year now of replacing Rock and Roller Coaster with a Monsters, Inc. Doors roller coaster, not going to happen.
I'm still going to keep my hopes high.
Well, it would be really novel. I mean, they have all these, intellectual properties and movies and things they're bringing in here to really show behind the scenes of how these movies are made. That would be really a good direction for the park.
You know what they should do is bulldoze Toy Story Land and make a tram tour or something like that to showcase that.
Right. I mean, really show how it's made. I mean, they're showcasing all these movies. I mean, it'd be a really good thing.
They're not going to do that because there's like a little menu option on DVDs where it shows how it's made nowadays.
Well, and there's another theme park down the street that kind of already has that.
Actually, that's not on DVDs anymore because people said and you can't see my air quotes, we don't need the hard copies because we have the streaming copies now.
That's true.
So now you don't get any of the cool stuff. And you don't even get to watch the old stuff because you're at the whim of whatever they feel like streaming to you.
Mm-hmm.
Last 2 rumors for Hollywood Studios is a possible new boat ride. What? I don't know. And the last thing is the name change of Hollywood Studios is not happening.
Oh, thank goodness.
Because nothing matters at that park. They're just like, name change? Just leave it. It's more paperwork. Right. You have to redo all the signs in Orlando and stuff.
They have to take the budget from the name change and put it on the monorail.
Yeah, good. Moving over to Animal Kingdom. Pandora, an extra attraction and a full sit-down restaurant, was a possible addition for a later phase. The plans exist, but will it happen? Most likely not anytime soon. There's also plans for something in the north part of the park in that massive amount of unused land. Some long-term proposals to make use of the land north of the Cali River Rapids and south of the conservation station will happen in the next decade. A northern project sometime in mid-next decade. Long-term goal is to get the conservation station on foot. Dino Land USA. This is all blue sky at the moment, but they're going to be keeping the dinosaur theme. Whatever will replace the Dinorama has a theme that befits Dino Land. The only thing planned is replacing Dinorama with a roller coaster like they originally had. Adding Indiana Jones and getting rid of dinosaurs was a rumor. Indiana Jones may be coming to the Animal Kingdom, especially Dino Land, which would replace Dinosaur and plan. That plan is still very much on the table. The Indiana Jones proposal could be done by 2021. Primeval Whirl and Triceratops Spin replaced with an e-ticket, potentially a water ride. There's also supposedly some light retheming to the dig site, a little kids' playground area. Potentially a third attraction, maybe a roller coaster could use the abandoned proposal like the excavator coaster that they originally were going to build. And all of this Indiana Jones talk could also be for Disney's Hollywood Studios, but we don't know yet. Primeval Whirl could be gone in the next year or 2, and I hope so because that ride is not good. There's also long-term plans for the gondolas to make way all the way to Animal Kingdom Lodge and another bus. Rivers of Light is supposed to have an update or completely be changed before 2021. At the moment, it's still doing decent, they said, so they're going to keep it for now, and they have to recoup their sales from the merch to pay for the show. Animal Kingdom's not getting any TLC anytime soon.
Well, they just spent all that money building a land for a movie that people don't care about.
Right, Joey? No one cares about Avatar?
Well, yeah. Nobody cares about it. And, it's not like they got 4 more coming out. So, it's not a good investment at all.
They don't. As much as they say they do, they just keep getting pushed back. I'm waiting for technology to catch up so I can learn how to fit Jack on a door.
Jesus. All right. We have one more rumor. Will there be a 5th gate coming to the Walt Disney World Resort? No, there's not. There's nothing. But do they have room for 3 additional theme parks? Yes, they do. Will they use that? No, probably not, because Disney.
What, 3 more?
Yeah, they say there's room for 3 more theme parks and multiple resorts.
Is that all your rumors?
That's it for the parks, yeah.
I'm just curious as to what else you had. I
There's
was waiting
still
for like a really big, like knock me off my seat kind of rumor.
No, because everywhere you look right now, there's just cranes. We can make
That's
up
standard.
Let's just make up some rumors now.
Yes, the castle is getting replaced by the crane. And
Yeah, the castle will be behind the crane instead. They'll just like swap spots.
Disney is now having a crane attraction where guests can sit on a conveyor belt that takes you up to the top and back down.
God.
There's a lot of things we could have, right? Just talk about how they're replacing monorails. They're not efficient and they're too dangerous.
With the Skyway or the gondola, or what's it called? The
Skyliner.
Skyliner.
The gondolas. They're all going to have
man.
little canals going everywhere.
Yeah, they're gonna have little Italian singers rowing you. They're gonna just, it is a swamp. All they gotta do is just dig a trench, and then
All I think of is Robert Goulet in Scrooged. He's pushing a boat singing Christmas carols with the alligator following behind him. And if nobody knows what I'm talking about, watch Bill Murray's Scrooged.
it's a great movie, holiday classic.
Good times, good times. So, Jonathan Johnson, where can we find you on social media and all of your projects, like your show and your other groups?
Well, yeah, if anybody wants to listen, even after my snarky, wonderful comments here, if you want to hear from all of us here, the D team, everybody, because we have a great team of a lot of people that put together the show. It's not just me rambling, so if you hate me, still listen, because everyone else does a fantastic job. So, if you want to tune in, it's Diz Radio, DIZradio.com. You can find us there, listen to past shows, the archives, all kinds of fun stuff, latest news. You can also find the Diz Ninjas, the wonderful fitness group and health group and running and jogging and everything else at DizNinjas.com, DIZNINJAS, just in case you didn't know how to spell ninjas.com. And you can find us everywhere else. We're on Facebook. We have Facebook groups, all that kind of fun stuff. Shoot us an email. Pretty much, you'll find everything there. I'll leave it at that. You can go to iTunes, Stitcher Radio, all the different places. Just search Disney Blue, and I'll spell it out for you, BLU, or Disney On Demand or Diz Radio. You'll find us. Subscribe, listen, and hopefully you enjoy our unique blend of a different kind of Disney show.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us. It was awesome having you on after all this time of talking behind the scenes and listening to your show for years and years. So thanks a lot for coming on.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Like I said, it was fun to talk about other things too. Things are different than the guests. So it was nice to delve into that. And there's so many other things. I could probably chat with you guys for hours about all kinds of Disney stuff.
Awesome. We'll have to have you come back on.
Definitely.
Well, who else is going to talk about random 80s Disney television shows?
I know.
Right.
Right?
Throw out
Epcot.
Black Cauldron references.
Right. Or Epcot Celebrity Circus. Come on.
It's too
I can guarantee you half your listeners right now are Googling that on YouTube. Right? They're on the YouTubes looking up Celebrity Circus. Maybe they're watching the Netflix.
Good times, good times. So everyone, make sure you guys subscribe and join all of Jonathan's awesome groups. I know they're very active, and like he mentioned, though, about sharing the knowledge, there's definitely, if you are a podcaster, there's quite a few of you that listen, his group. We met other podcasters in there and branched out and became friends of the show, as well as had guests. I think that's how we had Dan Cockrell on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, through the Disney Podcasters Hangout. That is correct. It is a nice little tight-knit group of podcasters that I run as well. Yeah, sometimes I forget about everything that I'm working on here.
An entrepreneur of creativity. There you go. So thanks a lot for coming again, Jonathan. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks a lot, guys.
That's it for this episode. Thanks to Michael Pitcher for the show music by the Disney Company, Tammy Tuckey from YouTube and iTunes, as well as other copyright holders. To find us on social media, search for One Little Spark Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. For show notes, pictures, and more, check out onelittlesparkpodcast.com. Thanks for listening this week, and just remember, tomorrow is just a dream away.